Good evening, sir.
Very good evening. Do we have anyone else joining this meeting?
सर एफसी में तो सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स को ज्वाइन करना था, but अभी तक बहुत कम ही लोग हैं जो ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं।
Okay.
सर दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम, बहुत कम पार्टिसिपेंट्स ही ज्वाइन करते हैं मीटिंग।
Hmm. इस प्रॉब्लम को तो एक सॉल्यूशन है। इस प्रॉब्लम का एक सिंपल सॉल्यूशन ये है कि जो लोग मीटिंग ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं उनका एक लिस्ट बनाया जाए, या फिर जो लोग मीटिंग ज्वाइन करते हैं उनका लिस्ट बनाया जाए, विच एवर इज पॉसिबल। और बाकी लोग जो है जो मीटिंग नहीं ज्वाइन करते उनको फिर एक अल्टीमेटम दिया जाए।
सर मीटिंग
और
ज्वाइन करते हैं उनका लिस्ट बनाते हैं, बहुत कम लोग ज्वाइन करते हैं तो इजी होगा लिखने में।
Yeah, sure, no worries. Whichever is possible, or whichever is convenient. और फिर उसके बाद जो लोग ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं उनको एक अल्टीमेटम दिया जाए। अल्टीमेटम देने के बाद भी अगर ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं और पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करते हैं तो उनका इंटर्नशिप कैंसिल कर देना चाहिए फिर, isn't it?
यस सर।
So I think we have waited enough. Do you think we should wait more?
सर आई थिंक वी कैन स्टार्ट नाउ।
Sure. So what is agenda for today's meeting?
सर एजेंडा ये था कि हम लोग ने जो पॉइंट्स डिस्कस किया है वो आज आपके सामने एक बार हम लोग बोलते एंड देन आप बताते कि लाइक क्या लोग सही जा रहे हैं कि नहीं।
अरे यार, डिबेट में क्या सही जाना और गलत जाना होता है। बट या प्लीज, अगर आप लोगों को कोई डाउट भी है तो वो भी आप पूछ सकते हैं।
सर एक डाउट था, लाइक डाउट नहीं, बट सर एक क्लैरिटी चाहिए था कि सर जैसे एनजीटी है तो उसका क्या रोल रहेगा सर, फॉरेस्ट से रिलेटेड या फिर ये बिल से रिलेटेड।
किसका?
सर एनजीटी नेशनल ग्रीन ट्रिब्यूनल है ना सर, वो।
हाँ, तो एनजीटी ये किस तरह की बॉडी है, पता है
सर
आपको?
सर पर्टिकुलर तो नहीं पता है, बट लाइक अगर फॉरेस्ट से रिलेटेड या इन्वायरमेंट से रिलेटेड कुछ भी केसेस या कुछ भी होंगे तो वहां पर हम लोग लाइक केस कर सकते हैं, कुछ भी ऐसा करके।
सो इट इज मोर लाइक ए जुडिशरी बॉडी।
हाँ, सब पार्ट।
सब पार्ट या। तो इसका क्या रोल हो सकता है?
सर लाइक कि कैसे फॉरेस्ट को प्रोटेक्ट करे, इसमें क्या रोल हो सकता है, लाइक हम लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट ना जाकर अगर एनजीटी में करते हैं तो क्या दोनों में फर्क है कि हम लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ना जाकर यहाँ पे क्यों कर सकते हैं और इसको छोड़ के डायरेक्टली सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्यों जा सकते हैं। लाइक कुछ तो इसका अलग रोल होगा, तभी तो इसको रखा गया है अलग से भी।
या ऑफ कोर्स ट्रू। तो जहां तक मेरी जानकारी है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट हो या हाई कोर्ट हो, उनके पास हजारों हजार केसेस हैं जिसको वो अभी तक खुद से पूरा कर नहीं पाए हैं कंप्लीट। एंड दे आर वर्किंग ऑन अ बैकलॉग मेजरली। और कोई कोई जो बहुत ही हाई प्रोफाइल केस होता है या फिर वेरी अर्जेंट केसेस होता है तो वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में फिर हियरिंग होती है उसकी। बट इट ऑल्सो टेक्स टाइम। एनजीटी क्या है? एनजीटी इज लाइक स्पेसिफिकली फिर एनवायरमेंटल जो भी एक्टिविटीज हो रही हैं उसमें सरकार गलत कर रही है या फिर कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन गलत कर रहा है या फिर कोई इंडिविजुअल गलत कर रहा है या फिर कोई एंटिटी गलत कर रही है काम, कोई कंपनी गलत कर रही है, तो उनकी अगेंस्ट वहां पे आप फाइलिंग करा सकते हैं केसेस। दिस इज स्पेसिफिक टू द एनवायरमेंट, एनजीटी। एंड सुप्रीम कोर्ट, हाई कोर्ट, दिस इज लाइक मोर फॉर एवरीथिंग। एनवायरमेंट भी है और प्लस आपका वहां पे बाकी सोशल इश्यूज भी हैं, उसकी भी हेयरिंग होती है वहां पे, राइट?
लाइक कुछ स्पेशल पावर्स नहीं है
हाँ,
सर, लाइक कुछ स्पेशल पावर्स नहीं है जो लाइक इसको अलग करे नॉर्मल कोर्ट से।
स्पेशल पावर्स जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास हैं मेरे ख्याल से उतने पावर्स इनके पास भी हैं।
बस सर एक फास्ट ट्रैक मोड में चला जाएगा, यही एक फायदा लगता है।
हाँ, ये बहुत बड़ा फायदा है ना कि आपका कोर्ट
जी सर
तुरंत
है
हियर
सर।
हो,
यस।
आपका केसेस तुरंत हियर हो सकता है। और नहीं तो अगर आप कोर्ट में केस कीजिएगा फिर पता नहीं कब उसका डेट आएगा, फिर कब पता नहीं ट्रायल होगा नहीं होगा, फिर कब उसकी हियरिंग होगी। तो या आपको क्या लगता है?
सर क्या?
आपको क्या लगता है कि और क्या क्या हो सकता है?
सर और क्या क्या हो सकता है ये तो नहीं पता, लाइक मैंने यही पढ़ा था एनजीटी का, तो वही हमको
हम्म।
क्लैरिटी था कि कुछ स्पेशल पावर्स हैं भी या फिर लाइक जो नॉर्मल कोर्ट जैसे वर्किंग करते हैं वैसे ही ये भी वर्क करते हैं।
आई थिंक दिस इज मोर इक्विवेलेंट टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट। हाई कोर्ट होता है, लोअर कोर्ट होता है, सबके अलग अलग पावर्स होते हैं। सबके अपनी अपनी अपने ज्यूरिडिक्शन की अपनी बाउंड्री होती है। कोई मान लीजिए अगर लोअर कोर्ट है तो वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट में काम करेगा, हाई कोर्ट है तो वो हो सकता है कि स्टेट में काम करे, लेकिन अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट है तो वो पूरे नेशन पे काम करेगा, राइट? तो एनजीटी इज ऑल्सो लाइक नेशनल। इसका जो ज्यूरिडिक्शन एरिया है वो पूरा नेशन है। So it is nothing as equal to lower court or high court. It is more equivalent to Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
I think this is my, I'm not saying it's कहीं मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है, बट मैं अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के हिसाब से बोल रहा हूँ, हो सकता है कि मैं गलत भी हूँ। सो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि कभी आप गूगल से भी पूछ सकते हैं।
सर गूगल पे
और
तो नहीं
अगर
देखे, बट क्लैरिटी भी कुछ नहीं था। लाइक ये हम खुद नया टर्म सुने थे कि ट्राइब्यूनल तो सर सुने थे, बट ये
हम्म।
एनजीटी लाइक एनवायरमेंट से रिलेटेड ट्राइब्यूनल,
हम्म।
ये पहली बार सुने थे। तो वही क्लैरिटी
ओके।
चाहिए। और सर
या।
एक और क्लैरिटी चाहिए कि लाइक इंडिया तो ऐसे बहुत वास्ट है, तो अगर जो बाउंड्रीज है जो वाटर बॉडीज से टच होती हैं, लाइक महाराष्ट्र
हम्म।
ये सब भी, तो सर अगर उस
हम्म।
साइड के जो फॉरेस्ट एरियाज हैं, तो वो भी तो सर एक टाइप से 100 किलोमीटर के अंदर लेंगे उसको, या फिर नहीं, या फिर सर सिर्फ एलओसी और एलएसी?
वो तो अभी फिलहाल तो मेरे ख्याल से एलएसी और एलओसी की ही बात हो रही है। और आपके नीचे में कोई कंट्री वैसा है नहीं जो आपको आपसे आप अटैक करे। अगर अटैक भी करेगा तो पहले उनको हमारे नेवी से लड़ना होगा। और नेवी जाके लड़ाई करेगी कहाँ? समंदर में। और समंदर में जंगल होते नहीं हैं। लेकिन समंदर में होते हैं क्या? बायोडायवर्सिटी होता है, मरीन लाइफ होता है, कोरल्स होते हैं, जिससे कि अगर झगड़ा होता है या फिर बम बम लोग डालते हैं ओशन के अंदर, तो वहाँ का इकोसिस्टम तो डिस्टर्ब होगा ही। बट देर इज नथिंग विच इज लाइक वहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट का ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो सकता है ना।
सर तो ये भी चीज़ हो सकता है ना, लाइक अगर गवर्नमेंट कल होके कहे कि मुझे लाइक अपने वाटर्स पे, वाटर बॉडीज के एरिया में मुझे लाइक नेवी के लिए बनाना है एक टाइप से कोस्टल कोस्टल एरिया टाइप्स में, ठीक है, कोस्ट गार्ड या किसी के लिए भी, तो उस बेसिस पे भी तो ट्रीज कट सकते हैं।
हाँ, कर तो सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी तो प्रेजेंटली मुझे नहीं लग रहा है कि गवर्नमेंट का वो फोकस है। गवर्नमेंट का फोकस चाइना, पाकिस्तान है।
और सर एक था लाइक आर्टिकल 371 ए और जी जो है, जो लाइक
हम्म।
नागालैंड और मिजोरम को सर अलग से प्रोटेक्शन देता है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से, कि
हम्म।
अगर कुछ भी डेवलपमेंट होता है ना, या फिर पार्लियामेंट में कुछ भी लॉज बनता है, तो वो डायरेक्टली वहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं होगा। वहाँ का जो लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली है, उसके
हम्म।
अप्रूवल या उसके रेजोल्यूशन से ही वो सारा चीज़ इम्प्लीमेंट हो सकता है। तो सर
हम्म।
ये एक टाइप से ओवरलैप कर सकता है उस चीज़ को, क्योंकि नॉर्थ ईस्ट स्टेट को ज़्यादा मिला है प्रिविलेज एक टाइप से, कि आपको थोड़ा ज़्यादा
हम्म।
प्रोटेक्शन मिला है। तो सर ये
हम्म।
एक प्रॉब्लम है।
हाँ, तो इस पे यार मुझे लगता है कि आकाश से एक बार अगर हम बात कर पाते। लेट मी चेक विथ हिम व्हेन ही इज अवेलेबल, बिकॉज आई डोंट हैव मच ऑफ उस तरह के क्लैरिफिकेशन मैं तो नहीं दे पाऊंगा। बट या वी कैन लुक इनटू कि आकाश या फिर शाश्वत से अगर बात हो पाए इस पे। You can keep this question with you, and maybe we can discuss it next time.
श्योर सर श्योर।
Yeah, Harsh Nidhi is here with us.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, hi. Hi, sir. So, Harsh, would you be able to share something on this?
I just joined right now, so
Okay.
because there was some issue with my internet connectivity and then got sorted right now.
So, we are just trying to talk about one of the questions. We have a doubt. I'm not sure if you can help, but we are open to, get some idea from you around it. So, Harsh,
Yes,
why
yes,
don't you
sorry.
ask your question again?
हाँ, तो लाइक मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जैसे हम लोग जानते हैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट स्टेट को अलग से एक प्रोटेक्शन मिला है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की तरफ से, लाइक आर्टिकल 371 ए और जी के हिसाब से नागालैंड और मिजोरम को। तो फिर ये कैसे ओवरलैप करेगा अभी के एफसीए से? क्योंकि अगर पार्लियामेंट से पास हुआ है तो वो ऑल ओवर द इंडिया या फिर जो बॉर्डरिंग एरियाज है वहां पे इम्प्लीमेंट होगा। बट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दिया है स्पेशल प्रोटेक्शन कि ऑल ओवर द इंडिया जो भी अप्लाई होगा वो डायरेक्टली नागालैंड पे ना अप्लाई होकर स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली से पहले पास होगा, या रेजोल्यूशन वहाँ पे पेश किया जाएगा, उसके बाद अगर वहाँ के लोग चाहते हैं तो पास होगा, नहीं तो फिर नहीं।
So before answering this, I would make myself clear that I'm not well aware of the the ingredients or the sections in the current amendment or the FSPA that you are talking about, which will be passed soon, probably. But then I can say one thing, that if there's some provision in the constitution that would prevail over any other act or legislation that the parliament is passing. Coming to the question that how this would overlap and this would, be implemented, how would the implementation be carried on? So I would say that whenever there's a amendment, by any if there's any act which the parliament is deciding or thinking about bringing into picture or implementing all over India by amendment or by any, by tabling it through both the houses, if a new bill is introduced. So in that case, if it concerns with the constitutional provisions, then there's a constitutional amendment act as well. So there have been 105 or 112, I don't exactly remember the figure, the number of times that the constitution has been amended, because an act that the government was trying to propose or was trying to pass was overlapping with the constitutional provisions. Example being the case of GST. So GST, the bill of GST was introduced in 2017. It was also a constitutional amendment act because it also amended the provisions of the constitution. So the parliament or the government of the day, whichever government it is, it has lots of ways to implement any act that it wants to. At the end of the day, if there's no recourse available to the government, it can any day promulgate an ordinance through the powers conferred by to the president. So yeah, there are a lot of options. So depending on what option the government is planning to exercise, and also depending on what are the sections or the amendments that have been proposed, or that are, that are overlapping with the available provisions in the constitution, which grants special status to certain states. Again, granting of special status is again an issue these days, because a case of abrogation of certain provisions of 370 is already going on in the Supreme Court of India, in which the lawyers, as I was a witness to that hearing, I can say that the lawyers have also cited 371 and other relevant sections while talking about when can the government exercise such power, which in what position that the government have that authority to exercise the power, whether the president in itself is capable of exercising that power or not, are there formalities that are to be completed or not. So yeah, there are a huge number of aspects to it. So until and unless the bill is passed through both the houses, see, if a bill is passed through the legislature, any law is deemed to be right unless and until there's a judicial review going on, or the judiciary has put a stay or to that law on that law. A law is assumed to be right always, because it is passed by both the houses, which has the mandate of the people in general. So if it goes to judicial review, what happens in that? What are the provisions of that act? How will the government chart out a way to implement it if there's any overlap? Because anyways, if you are doing something outside the constitution, is ultra vires, which basically means it's not it's something that you're doing without the mandate. You're going outside your mandate. So the government, I'm sure, would keep this in mind and would place provisions into it which may not, collide with the provisions existing in the constitution, because the constitution is the base of everything. So one thing we can certainly say that is the provisions in the constitution would always prevail in any case. It is by ways and measures that the government ensures that the provisions don't overlap.
बट एक और चीज है, लाइक अमेंडमेंट तो करा सकते हैं ना, बट अमेंडमेंट का भी बहुत तरीका होता है, लाइक सिंपल मेजोरिटी, स्पेशल मेजोरिटी, और एक होता है लाइक कंसेंट ऑफ स्टेट भी चाहिए। तो इसमें भी प्रॉब्लम हुआ था कि नागालैंड के जो ट्राइबल अफेयर्स हैं वो लोग भी अगेंस्ट में बोल रहे थे। तो फिर अगर अमेंडमेंट आप कराना जाइएगा तो स्पेशल मेजोरिटी लगेगा इसमें, लाइक 2/3 ऑफ द मेंबर्स लगेगा दोनों हाउस का। तो इतना इजीली तो एक्सेसिबल है नहीं अमेंडमेंट,
I
बहुत बार
think it is.
अमेंडमेंट हुआ।
I think it is a technical thing, because it depends how many people are present on that day of voting and how many are voting in favor. You see, a lot of bills get passed in Rajya Sabha and have passed in Rajya Sabha in spite of the government of the day not having majority. It is because of the fact that the government is adamant to pass those bills and issues whip strictly. So you see, the opposition parties don't issue those whips very strictly, and because of which there are members absent, and then 2/3 or half of the majority is easily attained by the government. So, like again, I would say it is a technical thing that the how the government would do that. But yeah, there are ways and measures, and it has happened in the past. There have been bills which have been passed, including the example of the farm bill. During the time when the farm bill was being passed, don't you think, or don't you remember that before the protests that were going on, even during the time that the bill was introduced or tabled in the Rajya Sabha, there was the speaker declared that it is through voice vote that the bill has been passed, because there was so much of ruckus. So the members were aware at that very moment as well. They also protested, but since few of the members were suspended, or there was some issue, and the government, in spite of having lesser number of Rajya Sabha seats, the ruling party having lesser number of Rajya Sabha seats than it has right now, ultimately succeeded to get that bill passed, because it had friends from parties that are not even in power right now, from the, you could say, the opposition or the neutral parties that are not in the opposition as well. So yeah, government managed to. Right now, government has, I think, 111 or some seats. 121 is the majority mark for bill to be passed in Rajya Sabha, and I'm sure that they will come comfortably. They would attain that mark. If it's about two third, it may be difficult for the government, but in Lok Sabha, attaining two-third would be very easy, because I think there's not much number of seats that the opposition has. In fact, GST was also passed by two-third majority. So I think, which dates back to 2017. And right now, the government has more number of seats, both the houses, as compared to that year.
तो फिर इसका तो फिर कोई क्वेश्चन ही नहीं उठता है अगर पास करा ले गवर्नमेंट तो, क्योंकि
No, so
ऑलरेडी
so
उनके
that
पास बहुत सारे सीट्स हैं.
no, so that is just a step. After that comes the judicial review thing. So you, as an aggrieved, can file PIL. Any other party who's an interested party or the stakeholder can approach the court for the review of that said law. Now you see the farm laws, when they came, there was huge number of protests. When the case was filed in the Supreme Court did not hear it immediately, but put a stay on those farm laws. Now the protests that were going on were also a way the people resisted the implementation, and ultimately the government had to succumb, right? So it was even before the judicial review took place. And again, I would say it was stayed. So there are number of stages in which, after which you finally attain a position wherein you can successfully implement a law. You being in power and you being in majority doesn't guarantee that the law would actually succeed. The implementation would actually succeed. It doesn't guarantee you that the law would live long enough. The law may die soon, and the law may also die its natural death. As you can see, there are a lot of laws which were passed, but they are almost dormant. These amendments to the Hindu Succession Act, saying that the female also has a share in the property of the father, and she can also claim a share, is almost dormant. I don't find a lot of female claiming even of their, the share. Also, this Dowry Prohibition Act, I don't think it's an active law. It's a dormant law. So
बस ऑन
depends.
पेपर है.
Yeah. So a lot of things would come into picture after the law is passed, even after the law is passed. So there are stages to it. I'm sure there would be, if there is something which is contradictory to the basic structure. Now there comes this basic structure, which is the whole and soul of the constitution. If there's an amendment, any amendment in the constitution, which the government is able to successfully do. Now, if it is going in judicial review, if someone is challenging that law, or a certain provision of that very by law I mean the Amendment Act, whatever the government has passed. So there would, of course, if the court feels that implementing it would, in itself be injustice, allowing the government to implement, they would they would, on the first date of hearing, or they would right away put a stay on that operation of that law. Okay, which means that it's as as good as not being passed, right? So, and then would go on the proceedings in which the courts would decide finally as to how many provisions are they violating, what all provisions are violative of the constitution, and those provisions would be striken off, or the law entirely may be struck off. So I would I would say we should wait. That's what we can do.
Yeah. Well, so here the discussion actually is not about, yeah, this is also part of it. However, I think our main discussion is more about repercussions of this new law. That is where we want to reach. What would happen if all these laws are passed, and what are the options for the businesses and other opportunities? That is what we are like, that is what government is planning at the end of the day, to allow businesses to flourish in the forest through various options, maybe sericulture, be it tourism, ecotourism, jungle safari, or whatever. Or yeah, so this is one area where the forest would be really impacted, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So, sir, having said that, I don't exactly know the specific provisions of these laws that we are talking about right now. But the thing is, sir, at the end of the day, any party who's aggrieved can approach the court and at least get a stay. I agree that the proceedings take a lot of time, but they would get a stay. So if
Yeah,
there's an interested party and they have grounds, valid grounds, court would right away put a stay on that operation. And the
yeah,
meanwhile, it isn't that the government can go on passing newer laws. Yeah, there's a problem with this ordinance thing. If the government decides to implement it right now, they may pass an ordinance through the pass conferred to the president. So that's something that never that nobody has been able to, that nobody has been able to save. That very thing, because the ordinance lasts for 6 months and the government keeps on passing ordinances to do whatever they want to do. That same thing that happened in Kashmir, which everyone is talking about right now. The hearing is going on right now. It has affected the Kashmiris. As per the petitioners, they said that the opportunities that the Kashmiris have had have lessened actually, in spite of the number of opportunities increasing. But the opportunities that Kashmiris used to used to avail of have reduced significantly.
true.
So but then, as we can see, nothing could be done about it, because it was done in 2019, and this 2023 is this hearing still going on. It has not even been stayed, the operations. It had operated for last 4 years, and a number of significant changes have happened.
Yeah,
So
agree.
yeah, because ultimately as we can recall, even people from outside Kashmir were now permitted to buy lands, and a lot of them got their lands registered in their name in the territory of Kashmir. So I think if the government is planning on doing something, it would of course do, but that won't prevent that law from being under check or under review.
Yeah. However, even to like go for like, if I want to go and put a PIL and put a stay on this law, I should have enough information, and I should put
Exactly.
all the reasoning around it.
Exactly. So
If
there's a sorry, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, please go ahead. Please go
So,
ahead.
sir, there's
It's
a
okay.
order of Rohit Pandey versus Union of India, in which there was this petitioner Rohit Pandey. He somehow found a newspaper article in which it was said that the state of UP, the present chief minister, the back then chief minister, he was involved in supplying arms and ammunition to Mukhtar Ansari and people like that, who are very popular in UP. Now he files a PIL. The court, while dismissing, discussed about how and when a PIL should be filed and what all are the pre-ingredients that a petitioner must keep in mind while filing a PIL, because it ultimately got rejected on the basis of lack of substantial grounds or substantial information that the petitioner annexed in his petition. So a person who's filing PL should be well aware of the situation, the fact, and also, it is not mandatory that a person should have some locus or should have some interest or should be an interested party, but it is expected that you should have some reason behind, seeking the prayer that you are praying before the court. So
Absolutely.
you cannot just go ahead on the basis of a newspaper report. Of course, it is not easy for a court to decide on the basis of a newspaper report, on the basis of an article which is dissecting the provisions of the amending act that has been introduced before, even before its implementation, or even before any other evidence, coming forward. So,
True.
sir, you are right that we should, be well informed before approaching the court. It would any day hurt our own case if we don't go to the court be after without being informed.
Okay, thank you. And Harshadi, we also have one more question.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
what is difference between Supreme Court and NGT?
So, sir, the very basic difference is that lies in the name in itself. Supreme Court is a court. So people also refer to the court of a district collector or district magistrate or courts of normal executives as
Mhm.
courts, but they don't have, actually they don't have precedential value. For instance, even a district court doesn't have value, precedential value in its order, but courts have some value in the sense that they can hold someone for contempt. For instance, if a DM or an NGT passes any order, if the people are not ready to abide by it, NGT cannot hold you for contempt. Courts, however, can hold you for contempt and even penalize you for not adhering to court's order, and penalize in the sense that penalize separately, as in NGT may penalize you in terms of fine that you still not adhering to NGT order. Court will penalize you or hold you contempt for two types of contempt: one criminal and civil, both. Not going into a lot of detail, NGT is a tribunal. Tribunals were a part of alternate dispute resolution mechanisms that were introduced all over the world. India also introduced tribunals by the uh, uh, tribunals way back. I think it was in 1950, after 1950s only. I think 50s, 60s, India started this concept of tribunals. Now, the point being, NGT, why NGT was there? Because there were a lot of environment cases and the courts were already burdened. In fact, there were also a lot of cases which could also be dealt by not going to the court, rather than, I won't say wasting time of the court, rather than consuming time of the court. The time of other bodies could be consumed. Now NGT was established to check that there should be a dedicated tribunal for environment matters, and the effect of NGT ordering is becomes more because NGT has members who are, the chairperson is usually a retired chief justice or a judge of Supreme Court. However, these days any
Okay.
high court judge is also appointed. But then there are other members, judicial members and technical members. NGT proceeds with specialized entities only for the environment cases. It goes on, decides cases of environmental issues. But then the NGT does, and the order of the NGT is, kind of not binding in the sense that you can always appeal the order of the NGT to the Supreme Court. So it is a dedicated tribunal for environment issues. It takes lesser time because since it is not a normal court in which you go on with proceedings, you have to hire people. You can always appear in NGT. Also, the NGT, I would say, since it is a tribunal, it does not deal with a lot of um, fees related issues. Like if you go before court, I think you would, if there's a claim, you would have to you would have to submit some amount as a percentage. I'm not sure about NGT if NGT asks for that percentage amount to be deposited, but I don't think the NGT asks for such amount. So yeah, it is a tribunal which is also always for saving the time of the court and the people.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much, Harsh Nidhi, and Harsh. So I
Okay.
think he has explained it pretty nicely in a very uh, common language, I would say, not very, very technical terms. I understood it pretty well. How about others?
Yes, sir. Yes.
No, if you have doubts, you can still clarify. He can still clarify
Yeah,
because
I would love to answer. I mean,
नो सर, कोई
I'm
डाउट नहीं है, कोई डाउट। सर समझ में आ गया। सर वही मेजरली मुझे बस पता था कि लाइक एक स्पेशलिस्ट टाइप से है, लाइक फास्ट ट्रैक वाला। बट लाइक सर रोल्स में क्या क्या डिफरेंसेस है, लाइक इन्होंने बताया कि ऐसे लाइक जो होते हैं, क्या बोलते हैं उनको, लाइक जो भी एडवोकेट या चीफ जस्टिस होते हैं जिनका रिटायरमेंट पीरियड हो चुका होता है, तो वो लोग बैठते हैं। ये सारा चीज़ नहीं पता था सर। बहुत सारा चीज अलग है।
Nice, nice.
So
Yeah, we
also
have.
yeah, sir, sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one point that I would like to mention you is that usually the tribunals have a time frame and the time frames are very strict. So ultimately at the end of the day you would say that I anyways I have to appeal before the court. Why to go to tribunal? So even if you want to go to the court, you cannot go to the Supreme Court directly. You have to go to district court, or the if there's a public matter, if there's a public interest litigation, you have to go to high court, which again takes years and years. Usually in tribunals and alternate dispute resolution bodies, which have specifically been established for the very purpose that you have to save time, because time is of essence, as the courts have finally understood. Now, tribunals usually have months in time frame, like 6 months, 3 months. They have to have dispose these cases within 6 months. Even if it's delayed, it would I don't think would go on for more than like 8 months, 10 months. But in courts, if you go, you would keep on fighting the litigation. Imagine you are a child, you file a litigation, you're 18-year-old, you may turn 20, 40, 45, have two kids, and then still the case would be going on. So, and there are instances even in this year 2023 as we speak, there are instances wherein cases have been going on for like 10, 15 years. Matters of public interest. There was a case I was recently I got the opportunity to work on since I was interning under a judge right now this last month. So there was a 2004 PIL which was filed before the Supreme Court. This 2023, the hearing was still going on. It was regarding slum shelter and slum dwellers, as to providing them alternate arrangements in Delhi and other states. 13 states were made a party. All the states filed their affidavit and status report. Delhi was yet, filing status report because there was a lot of issues with the people staying in slum areas. And it's 19 years. Imagine if it had been a dedicated tribunal, if it had been an environmental matter, 19 years. Can you imagine? So because of this, the tribunals have been given that power to adjudicate.
So yeah, so it also gives me a term which is a fast track resolution.
Yes, sir. Indeed, sir.
Yeah, true. Nice. So the see what we are trying to do here, Harshindi, is because I don't think you have joined many of the meetings. So just to give you a background of what we are doing, trying to do. So we are trying to have a discussion on this Forest Conservation Amendment Act
Yes,
2023,
sir. Yes, sir.
and try to see what will be the impact, negative and positive impact of these rules on the forest and on the human as well, and maybe the economy also.
Yes, sir.
So are we like we have a target of reaching 5 trillion economy? So will this help there? Or if you reach to the 5 trillion economy, then what would be the condition of our forest? What would be the condition of our country or the whole ecosystem or the climate, which is already changing? So we are trying to look into these aspects. This is my understanding. I am not sure where my team is. Anybody? Yes, no, maybe. What I'm saying is correct, incorrect?
Correct, sir, correct.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, anyone can speak up other than me from the team. जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो सही है क्या? ऐसा ही कुछ करना चाह रहे हैं हम लोग?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is, तो ये लोग कुछ स्टडी कर रहे थे, कुछ रिसर्च कर रहे थे, और वहीं पे एक दो सवाल था इन लोगों का, तो जो अभी very nicely Harshidi has answered it. Thank you so much. So yeah, legal matters के लिए हमारे पास we have few good friends who can always come and help. For any other matters, yeah, we also have some other friends. A few days ago, like when I was in Baroda, I met this guy, very interesting person. Amit, I don't remember, Amit or something is his name. And he works for the tribals majorly, and tribals in the forest. And we also had that tribal act, which was amended I think last year. they amended it. And he has written some letters. And so I have asked him to have a conversation with my team, like you people, once, so he can share his ideas on that. Maybe we can invite him for a meeting next week sometimes. In the meantime, I would like, hopefully, he has shared his letter, what he has sent. So maybe I can share that letter in the group. All of you can go through it. And yeah, I am sure it will help you in getting some knowledge, gathering some information about what you are trying to work upon for the debate. Anyways, what else would you like to share? Like earlier, you said that you wanted to discuss some point that you are going correct or incorrect. So yeah, maybe we can talk on that. Or we don't have much time anyways. Harsh, Sanjana, anyone?
So I think we can.
और कोई क्वेरी तो नहीं है सर. लाइक और किसी का क्वेरी है तो पूछ ले. लाइक कोई पूछ ही नहीं रहा है मेरे अलावा.
मेरे को तो कोई क्वेरी नहीं है सर, but
Okay.
So we can. So we can do one thing. So like we can create kind of teams without assigning them individual work. We can just say that whoever finds anything relevant, they don't even need to go through it or kind of dissect it thoroughly. We can just do one thing. We can share it on the group. So there are a lot of
Yeah.
people in the group, and whoever wants to read something, whoever wants to see, okay, I find this article interesting from the headline, from the topic only. So I'll go through it. So in that way, at least we'll have a lot of content. It may be pending. I'm not saying that it everyone would read or someone would read. It may be pending, but at least when someone wants to read something, or when some message flashes on their phone to the notification, it would at least that eyes would go on that thing, and someone would decide to, okay, finally I want to read this. And if someone happens to read this, they can chart out few points, or they can highlight few points and then send them on the group. And hey, I find this article very interesting. I read this. I have these issues, or I have these suggestions, or I have these ideas. Or maybe we can, sir, in this way we could engage with this issue.
Yeah, I think this is a very nice idea. So yeah, I'm sure many of you have already been through multiple documents or
यस
uh,
सर. सर ये चीज
yeah.
होता है ग्रुप पे, लाइक पहले भी बोल दिया गया है कि अगर आपके पास कोई है आर्टिकल तो आप शेयर कर सकते हो, और कुछ
So
लोगों
it
ने
isn't
किया
like
भी है.
we need to search for it. I'm sorry, Sanna, I'm interrupting. I'm sorry. So it isn't like we need to search for it. Like even when we read articles, even when we go through news every day, or even when we are using our Instagram, we come across such issues or environmental news, which we see that, okay, it's a news concerning the environment. We can simply go on the share button and share it on the group. Whoever wants to read it, they can read it. In that way, this would get more engaging rather than sir, giving someone a task or like a deadline or something. We can do this in a free way. So in this way, at least, if even if one guy is involved on for what day one, and the 20th guy is involved on day 20, for instance, if the guy doesn't work for 20 days or doesn't post anything for 20 days, at least the group would keep running. We would be engaging. That
Ah,
engagement would keep on
true.
going on.
So Harsh,
So
you're
Yeah.
talking about environmental issue as a whole, not just specifically Forest Conservation Act.
So yeah, forest conservation was the agenda of that this day. I feel, even if it goes on in subsequent meetings, I won't mind. And but the environment is something like we are concerned about in general. So,
Yes, yes.
and if it comes to India, I think if this is a concern, it would be a pressing concern, and I'm sure we would find articles more on this amendment act only in subsequent days. So so yeah, because I don't think we are into writing or publication or something. So we can only collect secondary data. So I am sure we'll come across secondary data, and then we can just share it on the group for people who are interested to read, and maybe they could give out their suggestions.
सर वन
Yes,
मोर थिंग कि हम सब ने एक्चुअली अपने पॉइंट्स तो डिस्कस कर ही लिए हैं पहले ही मीटिंग में, तो अब हम लोग सब लाइक ऑफलाइन डिबेट का ही वेट कर रहे हैं।
यस, मैं भी।
Oh,
वी आर मीटिंग ऑन फर्स्ट।
यस सर। तो मतलब एक्चुअली ये भी पॉइंट था कि अब 1 अक्टूबर को होना है, तो लाइक उससे पहले अभी हम लोग क्या करें। तो एक तो सर आकाश सर के साथ मीटिंग हो जाएगी, जो आपने कहा था वो भी सही है, और कुछ हम लोग कर सकते हैं तो वो आपसे पूछना है।
और क्या कर सकते हैं? तो आप लोगों की कुछ मूवीज बन रही थी ना, शॉर्ट फिल्म्स बन रहे थे आप लोगों के।
सर
sir, वो बन गई थी, but actually हुआ क्या, like only few peoples were interested. I guess just 3 or 4 people. तो उसके बाद उस पे कुछ डिस्कशन हुआ ही नहीं, लाइक लास्ट ऑफलाइन मीटिंग में डिस्कस हुआ था, एंड वी हैव ऑलरेडी रिटन डाउन द रोल्स वी हैव टू असाइन टू पीपल्स, बट नो वन कम केम फॉरवर्ड, सो इट्स ऑन स्टैंड।
ठीक है, इसके लिए भी हम लोग संडे जब मिलेंगे तो हम लोग सब लोग मिलके कुछ बात कर लेंगे।
यस सर, श्योर सर, क्योंकि आई थिंक सो कि सबने स्टोरी सुनी ली है कि क्या है हर्ष की स्टोरी। तो लाइक किसी ने आके अपने से ने कहा कि लाइक आई वांट टू लाइक एक्ट और समथिंग।
Yeah. Okay. So one document, I think, if you have some time, you can go through. It's a report by. It's a report on forest, state of forest of India. I think this is the name of the document. It is wildlife WFI Wildlife India. I think they have, or some other organization. They come up with this report every year. तो अगर आप लोगों के पास अगर मौका है तो इस डिबेट में आपके बहुत काम आएगा ये, बिकॉज उस रिपोर्ट में फैक्ट्स हैं कि अगर आप पिछले 5 साल पहले का एक ले लीजिए, एक 10 साल पहले का ले लीजिए, और अभी करंट का ले लीजिए, तो उसमें आपको दिख जाएगा कि फॉरेस्ट के साथ क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, कितना फॉरेस्ट बढ़ रहा है, कितना फॉरेस्ट घट रहा है, कहाँ घट रहा है, कहाँ बढ़ रहा है, क्यों बढ़ रहा है, क्यों घट रहा है। सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड दिस अगर 2-3 रिपोर्ट को अगर आप कंपेयर करेंगे तो। और तो फिर शायद जो आपका डिबेट है उस पे एक नेक्स्ट लेवल आ जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी जो आपने रिसर्च किया, जो भी स्टडी किया है, दैट इज अबाउट ये जो नया एक्ट है, इसके बारे में या फिर इसके लेजिस्लेशन के ऊपर हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं। लेकिन एक्चुअल इम्पैक्ट आपको वहीं से पता चलेगा कि इसके जो पुराने रिपोर्ट्स हैं वहां, उसको अगर आप देखेंगे, कंपेयर करेंगे, तो फिर आप फ्यूचर देख सकते हैं उसके बाद।
यस सर।
So I think you have still 1 more week to go, and I want you to prepare pretty hard because मुझे लगता है कि मेरी टीम आप लोगों को हरा देगी। I am pretty sure and confident on that.
Sir, I would interrupt. Sir,
Uh-huh.
since I am online, so is there any way someone can online be a part of the debate? As I am in Mumbai, so sir, I can't be there offline.
Yeah. So let's we all of us are like technically well equipped. I'm sure we can figure out a way.
Okay, I was just just asking, not like I very much into debating, but I like debating. I've been a part of competitions, but yeah, I would love to anyway witness the debate.
Yeah, and you can also be a part of it. Why not? You can join the team there. Yes.
Yes, sir. Or maybe
And
if yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so or if maybe like anyone wants some help or something like regarding any specific environment issue which is concerning the legal aspect, so I can maybe help them out.
Yeah, sure. Why not? That's a very nice thing to do. And that will be engaging for you and for the team.
Yeah, it would be engaging for me and it would also expose me to the ideas and the concerns that may possibly arise when a party
Absolutely.
is for a motion or against a motion. So I
Yeah.
would love to,
Yeah.
help anyone
So
who feels to be
yeah,
helped.
everybody is here available, and I'm sure they would love to get your help.
Okay.
Yes, no? And Harsh Nidhi is already in our FCA group.
Yes, sir. We know that.
Yeah, so you can always ask him there.
और सर एक और इशू, आई थिंक 18 पार्टिसिपेंट्स है लेकिन सिर्फ 2-3 लोग बोल रहे हैं, और ये हर मीटिंग में होता है।
अच्छा, ये भी होता है क्या?
यस सर।
तो बाकी लोग आप लोग
सर
क्यों नहीं बोल रहे हैं?
सर पिछली मीटिंग में मैंने पकड़
सर
पकड़ से सबसे
पिछली
पूछा ना, तो आधे लोग तो लाइक जो ज्वाइन हुए थे तो आधे लोग ने लीव कर दिया।
हाँ, अच्छी बात है, वेरी नाइस। तो दैट इज वेरी नाइस थिंग। देखिए, इट्स ऑलवेज गुड टू हैव अ टीम ऑफ ओनली फोकस्ड पीपल हु आर एंगेजिंग। अगर उनको पकड़ के लाना पड़ रहा है ना, तो उससे बढ़िया है कि हम अपना टाइम उन पे वेस्ट ना करें, और उन पे उतना ही टाइम वेस्ट करें कि जितना टाइम हमें उनको अपने टीम से निकालने में लगे। ठीक है, वो रहेंगे नहीं, फिर उनके बारे में हमें सोचना भी नहीं पड़ेगा, उनके बारे में बात भी नहीं करना होगा। सो प्लीज try to engage in your meetings, and Sanjana, please give me the names of people who are not joining the meetings, or like who, आप सिर्फ उनका लिस्ट बना के रखिए जो मीटिंग ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं और जो एंगेज हो रहे हैं,
ओके सर।
और जो नहीं एंगेज हो रहे हैं उनका लिस्ट मेरे पास अपने आप बन जाएगा। यस।
तो सर मंडे जो नेक्स्ट मीटिंग है उसमें हम लोग क्या करें?
मंडे नेक्स्ट मीटिंग में हम लोग क्या करेंगे, सोचिए और बताइए, एजेंडा सेट कीजिए।
सर
आप लोगों
आकाश
का
सर से
इंटरेस्ट।
मीटिंग हो जाता तो सही रहता।
आकाश सर से मीटिंग हो जाए मंडे को, ठीक है। तो मैं देखता हूँ, इफ इज अवेलेबल आकाश on some Monday, you can do that. You can also ask him to join the meeting. He's also part of our group, so आप वहाँ पे उनसे पूछ सकते हैं ना।
यस सर।
आपने जैसे मुझसे पूछा,
यस सर।
उनसे ही पूछिए।
ओके सर।
ठीक, ऑल दिस, ये सारा चीज आपको खुद, आप लोगों को करना चाहिए खुद से। या इट इज गुड यू आस्क्ड मी, but it could have been better if you could have just informed me.
ओके सर।
Informed और asked का अंतर पता है आपको?
यस सर।
Yeah. So start making decisions. और बाकी लोग जो नहीं मीटिंग में बोलते हैं, तो अगर आप लोग मीटिंग में हैं तो beware. I think is it all enough for the day? Shall we call it a night? No?
ओके सर।
Why okay?
ओके सर।
Okay.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
no 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 no, please please please. Okay बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं। मैं मजाक कर रहा हूँ। गुड नाइट।
गुड नाइट सर।
गुड
Good night, sir. Thank you, everyone.
या
नाइट सर।